10th best team in the NFL. I promise I'm not being biased. It's my Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, back in Bryson's best 10, they are in the top 10. They are somehow 6-3, but Pittsburgh at number 10, and here's why. So look, is the offense for Pittsburgh nothing short of atrocious? There is no question about that. Kenny Pickett is bottom 10 in the NFL in virtually every stat. Touchdown to interception ratio, touchdown passes, QBR, passer rating. The Steelers offense has gotten outgained all 9 games of this season. That's never been done in NFL history for a team that has a winning record. But if there's one thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers, if we play it close, if we take it down to the wire, we take it to the fourth quarter, we close you out. The Steelers, all 6 of their wins are in one-score games. They are 6-0 in total in one-score games. So as much as I criticize the Steelers defense for giving up, again, the Steelers defense, by the way, bottom 10 in passing yards allowed and bottom half of the league in rushing yards allowed. They're not good in either of those categories, despite the front 7 that they have, albeit some injuries to linebackers. But when you get down the red zone, you don't cash in, or they take the ball away from you. Pittsburgh leading the NFL in takeaways this season, tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But if you look at what they've done, good in the fourth quarter, 6-0, and as much as I bash Tomlin for refusing to adjust to a more modern offensive philosophy, they're great situationally, and that matters in the NFL. They're really the anti-Ravens, where the Ravens are loaded. Not to say Pittsburgh doesn't have a good roster, because we have a great roster, but Baltimore has a phenomenal roster and cannot close you out to save their lives in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh, it's just keep it close, and they'll win the game. It's as simple as that. Is there a hard ceiling? Is there a hard ceiling that they can go playing this brand of football? No doubt about it, and I fully acknowledge that as a Steelers fan. But today, it is sustainable. They are the 10th best team in the National Football League. At number 9, the 9th best team in the NFL is a team that actually beat Pittsburgh a few weeks back. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville dropping multiple spots, dropping 2 spots from last week's Bryce's best 10. Jaguars, 9th best team in the league. And here's why. So, look, if it wasn't the fact that they lost to a team that I believe to have the best roster in football in the 49ers, they would have fallen completely out of Bryce's best 10. Trevor Lawrence was nothing short of awful. Multiple turnovers. He's at, and I love Trevor, but he's had a bad fumble problem this year. He only has 9 touchdown passes in 9 games. That's a problem. Jacksonville needs to get their passing game more in order. Some of that is the fact that their offensive line is second to last in a pass block win rate. But Travis Etienne is still a very good player at running back. This Jaguars defense is still top in the NFL, tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of takeaways, 18 takeaways on the season. They weren't able to do that against San Francisco and Brock Purdy. But listen, this is a get-right game. They got Tennessee coming into town. Big matchup, Titans and Jaguars. Will Levis is known to turn the football over on occasion if you go back to his days at Kentucky. So it's an opportunistic defense playing a bad offensive line. Maybe that can, if the offense is set up in short fields, kind of get them going. I still love Jacksonville's upside at head coach, quarterback, and offensive ceiling in general. But had they not lost to the 49ers, and I mean, like, had they lost 34-3 to the, I don't know, throw a team out here, the Cleveland Browns, they'd be out of Bryce's best 10. That's not a shot at Cleveland. That's just the reality of where they're at. The Jaguars today, the 9th best team in the NFL, and they're lucky I didn't put them lower. At number 8, back on Bryce's best 10, second straight week this season, Vikings, stand up! The Minnesota Vikings are the 8th best team in the National Football League and only getting better, and here is why. So Minnesota, and I talked about this early in the show when I was comparing them sort of to the Buffalo Bills to the Denver Broncos in terms of, hey, it takes Vance Joseph time to get that defensive scheme kind of lined up. The same thing with Sean Payton and the running game in Denver. The same can be said about Brian Flores. This Vikings defense looked identical through the first 5 games to the one last year that was worst or second worst in the league in pass defense and in terms of points given up per game. They really struggled in that regard and struggled to start the season. But Brian Flores, very smart coach, defensive mastermind, was able to get it right. If you look at what Minnesota has done defensively, they are 4th in rushing yards per play given up, so they're great against the run, and only 7th they're top 7 in the NFL at number 7 in yards given up per play. So they don't listen. Every yard comes at a price, comes at a cost against this Vikings defense. Also, offensively, They've won 5 straight games, longest winning streak in the league. They are 5-0 without Justin Jefferson. We remember Justin Jefferson went down in that game against Kansas City. They dropped to 1-4. We're like, yeah, Minnesota needs to go and trade Kirk, kind of mail it in for the year, get a high draft pick, take a quarterback. And all of a sudden, Justin Jefferson looks like he's coming back this week. Jordan Addison, rookie receiver at USC, has really found himself as maybe a potential number 1 in this league if he wasn't with Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson, top 10 tight end in the NFL. And Robert Joshua Dobbs with another 3-touchdown performance, another big-time rushing touchdown in this game against an excellent defense in New Orleans after doing it against another excellent defense the week prior against the Atlanta Falcons. So Joshua Dobbs not turning the football over, very efficient, using his arm, using his legs, and he just so happens to be getting one of the 2 or 3 best receivers in the sport back next week. And guess what? If he didn't know the playbook 2 weeks ago, he certainly knew it better last week, and he darn sure knows it better this week, not to mention they're well-coached with Kevin O'Connell. The Vikings are the 8th best team in the National Football League. At number 7, they drop a couple of spots from a week ago. It is the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati doesn't drop too much, but they drop a couple of spots to the 7th best team in football, and here is why. So, look, they lose to Houston. Fact of the matter is, if Tyler Boyd catches that touchdown with a minute and a half to go, they probably win that game. Not to doubt what the great C.J. Stroud is doing. C.J. Stroud's my MVP frontrunner right now. But when you look at what Houston did in terms of defensively, they kind of struggled in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati's defensive line is really struggling to stay healthy, but their secondary has been good this season. By the way, offensively for the Bengals, since week 5, which is really when they kind of turned their season around, right? They were 1-3. Burrow wasn't healthy, but since they've won 4 of their last 5 games, Joe Burrow is leading the NFL in completion percentage. We know he's always been one of, if not the most accurate quarterback in the National Football League. And I'm hearing people still say today, despite the fact the Bengals are last place in the division, that Joe Burrow is in the MVP discussion. I don't totally discount that, given how he's played over the last month. Jamar Chase, now they're going to miss T. Higgins, it looks like, tomorrow night. I'm going to predict that game when they play the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. So that's going to be a big loss. And they're struggling to stay healthy on the defensive side. So that's why I dropped him a few spots. But look, again, Tyler Boyd catches a touchdown. If Joe Burrow doesn't throw 2 uncharacteristic picks, Bengals probably win that game against a red-hot Houston team. The Bengals are the 7th best team in the National Football League. At number 6, they just so happen to stay exactly where they are in the rankings. It is the Detroit Lions. Detroit, the 6th best team in the NFL, and here is why. So they go on the road, and it wasn't really a road game because no game is a road game when you're playing the Chargers. But they go on the road to LA, get a big-time W. Jared Goff played unbelievable. The Lions ran for over 200 yards in that game against the Chargers. Again, we know LA has a terrible defense, led by, obviously coached by Brandon Staley, despite the fact they've spent the second most amount of money in free agency on defense. But if you look at Detroit, they've run the football effectively. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs just getting more and more involved with that offensive lineup. We know what he did at Alabama, what he's capable of doing. He's the second coming, in my view, of Alvin Kamara. Jared Goff's playing unbelievable football right now. I would have him. If I had to vote for MVP, he would be number 3 for me in terms of what he's doing. He's playing smart football, and Dan freaking Campbell has as big guts as any coach in the NFL. The 4th down conversions. I mean, again, remember back in week 1, the fake punt, first quarter at Arrowhead with the place going crazy. This guy believes in his team. The team believes in him. Kneecaps were bitten. And the Detroit Lions are the 6th best team in the NFL. And I still maintain will play in the NFC title game. At number 5, do we have number 5 up here? At number 5, it is the Baltimore Ravens. My number 1 team, ladies and gentlemen, dropping 4. My number 1 team the last 2 weeks, dropping a whole 4 spots. Is that bias from a Steelers fan? No, it is not. Ravens are the 5th best team in the NFL, and here's why. So look, fact of the matter is, they're number 1 in the NFL in scoring defense, and number 1 in the NFL in rushing offense. Again, in terms of the roster makeup, in terms of the coach, in terms of the quarterback, weapons, kicker, obviously might be the greatest ever, Justin Tucker. I have no issues whatsoever. None. They're bad in the fourth quarter, folks. 10 blown double-digit leads since 2020. That is a problem, and it has been for a while. I still think Harbaugh's a tremendous coach. I still think Lamar is a tremendous quarterback, and this roster is top 3 in the NFL. But they've got to find a way to finish these games, particularly against a division rival in a game that if you win, man, you've got a strong Draymond Green level chokehold on that division, and potentially on the 1 seed as well. You're in the battle with Kansas City in that regard. But tough loss for Ravens. Good news for them is the fact that, hey, they're sitting there. They're 7-3. If they beat Cincinnati, all's well and right in Ravens world. But they lose that game to Cleveland. They struggle badly to close games out in the fourth quarter. That said, I think Lamar bounces back. Harbaugh, the defense bounces back. Again, they're still number 1 in the NFL in scoring defense, despite a rough game against the Cleveland Browns. The Ravens are the 5th best team in the National Football League. At number 4, it is the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas drops a spot from last week. That's because somebody jumped them. But listen, Dallas, again, 4th best team in the NFL. Here's why. So, Dak Prescott has been playing not only the best football of his career, but probably better than any quarterback in football over the last month. Over his last 4 games, folks, since week 6, that game he played very well against the Chargers. Dak Prescott, 1,300 passing yards, 14 total touchdowns. He's completing 72% of his passes and has a 124 rating. So Dak's playing efficient football. By the way, only 2 turnovers in that stretch. So he's playing efficient football, clean football, spreading the rock all around the field, particularly to CD Lamb, who is strongly every single week making a case that he very well might be the best receiver in football. I'm dead serious when I say that, because since week 6, CD Lamb, and this is in a 4-game stretch, he had a bye week in week 7. CD Lamb has 41 catches, 617 receiving yards, 4 total touchdowns, and 22 catches, which leads the NFL of over 15 yards or more. So CD Lamb has been incredible. Dak Prescott has been equally as good. This Cowboys offense is really finding its rhythm. The only weakness really in the Cowboys offense is they really can't develop much of a run game with Tony Pollard. Some have argued they should have traded for Derrick Henry at the deadline. I understand that, but I still would have decided to go with Tony, but hopefully he has fresh legs by the postseason. He's able to kind of bounce back from tearing his ACL a year ago. But this Cowboys defense, Micah Parsons, we know what he represents. Stephon Gilmore. By the way, Deron Bland. How about this, folks? Deron Bland by Pro Football Focus, the number 2 ranked corner in the NFL this season. He leads the NFL in interceptions since he came into the league, leads the NFL in pick 6s since he came into the league. So this Dallas defense has a lot of upside. This Cowboys offense is as good as there is in the NFL, and Dak is playing as well as you could possibly ask him to play, even relative to the best quarterbacks in the league. The same can be said about CeeDee Lamb amongst his wide receiver contemporaries. Dallas, the 4th best team in the National Football League. At number 3, taking a big jump from where they were at last week at number 8, it is the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are the 3rd best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So that was as big of a statement as we've seen all season long in the NFL. You go to Jacksonville, right? A team that has the longest winning streak in the league on the road. For the record, Niners, West Coast team. So that's essentially a 10 a.m. kickoff their time on the West Coast, having to come all the way from the Bay Area to Jacksonville, Florida, and you couldn't tell a difference. That might as well have been a Pee-wee team taking on the 07 Patriots. And that's what it looked like offensively and defensively for San Francisco. Brock Purdy still leading the NFL in passer rating. Had a 149 rating last week against the Jaguars, which is insane. Christian McCaffrey, let's have a funeral, because his touchdown streak, his insane touchdown streak, double-digit games plus, came to an end on Sunday. But Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams having them back in the lineup paid massive dividends. Chase Young, you're already seeing they trade for him from the Washington Commanders. He got a sack on Trevor Lawrence on Sunday. By the way, and this is the thing about San Francisco, I said they're the Mike Tyson in the NFL. If they're trailing going into the fourth quarter, it's a little dicey, especially if you look at the numbers. But if they've got you down, they will not give you air. They will not give it. This like Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert. They will not give you a chance to breathe, okay? San Francisco, in their wins, and their 6 wins this season, they're averaging 33 points per game and giving up 12. They're winning these games basically in their wins, they're winning by 3 touchdowns a game. This is the best roster in football. Brock Purdy, people got on him. The 3-game losing streak, for the record, won arguably 2 of those games. He was concussed. Kyle Shanahan is one of the smartest coaches in the National Football League. The 49ers roster is outstanding. San Francisco, the 3rd best team in the National Football League. And is this not perfect? Okay, number 1 and number 2 will be facing off on Monday night in Arrowhead Stadium. The home team is my number 2 team. the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are the second best team in the NFL, and here is why. So, listen, we talk about smart coaches coming off of bye weeks. Just talked about Kyle Shanahan. And for the record, I think Mike McDaniel is going to do the same with the Dolphins this week as well. But if you look at Andy Reid, off of byes, he's been really good. I mean, last year, one off a bye week. Like this guy is great. Patrick Mahomes, he's still firmly in the MVP discussion. More than double-digit touchdown passes. And again, the fact of the matter is Kansas City's defense is one of, if not the best National Football League. Well, just look at the numbers. They're second against the pass and second in scoring defense. And by the way, offensively, we're panicking. Oh, Mahomes doesn't have the weapons outside of Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Well, they're still, despite that, 7th in the league in total offense. They run the football effectively with Pacheco. The offensive line certainly looked like this against Miami. Maybe it's finding its way a little bit. They're going to have a massive test against Philadelphia on Monday night. They're going to have to protect, obviously, Mahomes against the likes of Montez Sweat and Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox. It's going to be a tough test, but they're up for the challenge. Patrick Mahomes, you can never, ever count this guy out of the MVP discussion because of what he can give you any given Sunday, or in this case, this week, Monday, at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, playing well, and maybe there might be a little bit of karma from the Philadelphia Eagles coming home to me. There you go, Swifties. All right, the number one team in the NFL, I think you probably guessed it by this point, as much as it makes me sick to say it, it is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are the best team today in the NFL. Believe it or not, folks, it's the first time they've been number one all season long. Eagles best team in the NFL, and here is why. So, look, the biggest deficiency, they're bad against the pass. I want to reiterate, the guy who is in New England and is about to be a third-string quarterback, dead serious. Look at the reports. Mac Jones is going to be a third-string quarterback by the Patriots next game against the Giants. He threw for 300 yards against this defense. Dak Prescott torched them. Sam Howell torched them. This is the problem for Philadelphia. But offensively, they're great. Second best points per game, second best yards per game, and 7th in the NFL in both pass yards per game and rush yards per game. So this is undeniably one of, if not the best offense in the NFL. Jalen Hurts is struggling with the turnovers. Eagles have lost the turnover battle, and I think 4 of the last 5 games. But Jalen is firmly in the MVP discussion, has improved drastically from a pocket passing standpoint. Every single year he's been in the league, and you see it this season. And the good news for Philadelphia, and this is huge, how many times have I and others lamented the fact that, man, Jalen does not look right physically. He doesn't look healthy. Could the bye have not come at a better time for Philadelphia, especially given the defense they're about to face in Kansas City? As much as it hurts me to say, they're not great defensively, at least in the secondary. Pass rush is excellent, by the way. Offensive line's awesome. Weapons, quarterback, they're great. Well coached. The Eagles, I hate to say this, the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFL. There you go. You happy, Philly? Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.